Welcome to Arcade Colosseum, ladies and gentlemen. This is Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered by Nightdive Studios, a fantastic game released in February of 2024. Completely caught me by surprise. I had no idea this thing was coming out. I have the original Dark Forces on Steam, and it's a blast, but it's a little bit difficult to play because it is somewhat dated for sure. It's mostly played through emulation, but Nightdive went in, they remastered cutscenes and gameplay, and they just refined everything, and it is, as far as I'm concerned, it's the definitive way to play this. If you're unfamiliar with Dark Forces, it was released in 1995. It is, for all intents and purposes, Star Wars Doom, and it would start a series of 4 games over the course of several years, starring Kyle Katarn, who is a rebel agent slash bounty hunter type. I don't think it's ever really defined. I think he's more of a bounty hunter, if anything. Sort of more or less a mercenary for hire, but he becomes a Jedi. He's of Jedi lineage, which explains his ability to wipe out entire platoons of stormtroopers and Imperial officers and anything else with a blaster pointed at him. Basically, he just eviscerates completely, as you see in the gameplay. The gameplay itself is phenomenal. I mean, it's Doom. It is just Doom. And that's great. From the levels to the shooting mechanics to your movement, it feels exactly like Doom. You'll be right at home with this. There are some significant differences, but for the most part, it is Doom. You collect keys, you complete mission objectives. You have to get to one specific point in the level and either get there or pick something up or see something. Whatever the mission has you doing, you do, and then you try to get out of the level the same way that you came in, which is easier said than done in most of the later levels, as they get incredibly maze-like and really complex. And that's one thing that might put a couple players off. Now, there is a map that you can toggle. It's one of those overhead maps that is there showcasing your movement. It doesn't exactly point out where things are. So you just kind of have to pay attention to where entrances and exits are. Be on the lookout for things like secrets if you're going to collect the secrets within the game. You really just kind of have to use your basic instincts to get through this one and to survive. And on higher difficulties, the enemies pull no punches. These aren't your garden variety New Hope stormtroopers. These stormtroopers can actually hit you and kill you. They can reduce your shields to nothing. You have a shield system. And thankfully, shield energy is plentiful throughout most of the levels, but you will find yourself in a lot of situations where there really isn't a whole lot of shield energy available, and you have to be more conservative with how you approach dealing with enemies. You get more weapons as the levels increase, and you have to take advantage of those weapons. It's Doom, guys. It's Doom with a Star Wars skin, but it's so much more than that, because it's got Star Wars sound effects, Star Wars music, which is available in a MIDI and in a more modern sound profile that was done. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, hearing that John Williams score and sort of a MIDI sound effect. It's really, really cool. It's really cool. I absolutely love this game. I really do. I love this game. I haven't played a sequel. I'm excited to if they are going to remaster it, which I've heard they are. I do love this series. My first experience with the Jedi Knight series, as it's now known, was in Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. A game which, if you guys want me to talk about, I'd be more than happy to at some other point, but I never played the earlier titles until I got Dark Forces on Steam a couple years ago. But it feels, like I said, it feels very cumbersome. It's a little bit difficult. You don't have the ability to aim up and down, if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe you do. Maybe I'm getting my details mixed up. Maybe that's Doom I'm thinking of. Regardless, much like Doom and the other boomer shooters that have been remastered, this is the best way to play it. And this is the best way for new generations of players to experience this type of game, because it is available on consoles now. I am playing, the footage you're seeing is from a Nintendo Switch, if you couldn't tell by a lot of the interfaces and things. It's very accessible. A lot of the things that made it inaccessible have been tweaked or outright removed, and it's just a great experience. You can play it the way it was intended. There are multiple features to play it the way it was intended. Visually, sound-wise, cutscenes, all of these sorts of options are modifiable from old to new. And it is just great. It is absolutely fantastic. Looks like they made or rendered new cutscenes, or they just cleaned them up. I'm not entirely sure. It's a remaster, so a couple of it can be... I'm sure a couple things are new assets, and a couple things are older assets, and they just cleaned up whatever they could. But they did a beautiful, fantastic job. Just absolutely spectacular. I love this game, and I haven't finished it yet, but I am getting closer, and I am excited to finish it finally. I think it is a spectacular game. I really do think that you should play Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered. It's available on Nintendo Switch, the Xbox family, the PlayStation family, and of course on Steam. It is wonderful. It's a breath of fresh air in a sea of just terrible AAA games that we're getting right now. It is a true Star Wars classic, and in a sea of Disney Star Wars filth. It is a great story. You really want to stick around for this one, because it is a great story as it unfolds across, I believe, 4 games. It's just really good Star Wars. It's definitive Star Wars. It isn't this New Wars, this Disney Star Wars. It's just Star Wars in its most classic era. This game came out before the prequels, so it dives deeper into lore, but there are certain names and things that aren't established yet because the prequels haven't happened, so they're just kind of making stuff up as they go along. Like, you go to Coruscant, technically, but it's called the Imperial City or something like that, so nothing is fully established yet, and it's cool to see Star Wars in that state where they're wanting to expand on it, but the prequels are just a couple years away. You know, by the year 1999, Episode 1 drops, so it's very interesting stuff. I'm sure there was a lot of hype building up to the prequels back then, and then, well, they happened, and we all know the debates and everything else, but this is good Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen. This is great Star Wars. Kyle Katarn is amazing. He is Star Wars Doom guy. I love him. I love the cutscenes featuring him. I love the gameplay. I love the way the story plays out. You just have to see it for yourself. My gameplay may not do it justice. You have to just go and play this thing for yourself. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this edition of Arcade Colosseum, and I will see you all in the next round.